Interesting question. So number one, we do know that there are genes that track with Alzheimer's disease. As a matter of fact, one of the big studies we're doing right now is called the Generations Study, and there's a Generations 1 and a Generations 2, and it's actually based, how you get into that study is by having your genes screened for Alzheimer's risk, and those studies are only enrolling people with a high Alzheimer risk on the basis of that genetics. So it's indisputable that Alzheimer's runs in families. So so I can't deny that. The other part of the question is something that's very important, and it is, could caring for someone with Alzheimer's disease increase risk for Alzheimer's disease? And the answer is not as simple as it may sound. And now, first off, I will tell you, Alzheimer's is not infectious. So you will not see me, if you bring a loved one to me with Alzheimer's, I will not be gowning and gloving, right, and putting masks on. We know that this is not a contagious disease. So how then might being a caregiver influence your risk for Alzheimer's disease? And the answer is actually quite clear. We know that caregivers for persons with dementia are 2 to 3 times more likely to come down with cancer than non-caregivers. They're 2 to 3 times more likely to catch the flu each winter than non-caregivers. And they're 2 to 3 times more likely to come down with dementia themselves. And the reason is, just like we talked about with PTSD and natural disasters and depression, chronic stress changes and injures the brain. So it's really, really important. If you are a caregiver for someone with Alzheimer's disease, or if you know and care about somebody who is a caregiver, they need help. They need to find ways. They need respite. They need ways to minimize as much as possible the stress. And so we do have Kelly and Julia that will work with us, that were speaking earlier today on communication. They're our family care support specialists. They try to work with folks to troubleshoot ways to reduce that stress of caregiving as much as possible. I'd like to say that we found ways to completely eliminate it, but there is no way you can care for a loved one with Alzheimer's or another form of dementia and not have some stress in your life. The trick is, let's get that down to a minimum so that you're not carrying that risk forward and you yourself end up needing a caregiver that just perpetuates the problem.